Wibta for drawing boundaries with my best friend of over a decade. This is a long post and I apologize in advance. I want to support my best friend, but lately I'm feeling quite fatigued by all that this friendship entails. I have never had any boundaries with this friend, calling her Luna henceforth, for the sake of this post, and I don't know if it's right to have them in the first place, let alone what boundaries to have or how to enforce them. TLDR, the end. Luna and I, both 27 have known each other since late high school. We coincidentally went to the same college, and that's how we ended up becoming inseparable besties. College was a messy time with both of us having our respective boy troubles. Luna is a wonderful, lively, gorgeous, ray of sunshine type of person, despite the fact that she has had a difficult childhood. Luna's single mom raised 2 daughters on her own. But this did have its own problems, including her treatment of Luna's sister as the golden child, since Luna's personality and looks are both similar to their cheating father. Luna also has severe abandonment issues due to the way their father ultimately left. All this culminates in Luna having really low self-worth and going for the worst POS type of guys. Looking back, I can now see how a pattern had developed in our friendship. Anything went wrong in Luna's life, she would get completely overwhelmed and not know how to pick herself up. I have always helped her fix it, and always reassured her that it was never her fault. She didn't seem to understand why bad things would keep happening to her, even when she actively put herself in terrible situations and made bad choices. Here is some of the highlights of the ups in Luna's life, many of which I have had to step in and fix. 1. Back in college, she was dating a boy in a mutual friend group. She cheated on him with another mutual friend. It eventually came out, and the boyfriend never forgave her, even though he did forgive the other boy, and continued to be friends with him. Luna had a horrible breakdown, and I had to stop her from continually and desperately pleading with him to take her back. 2. Luna convinced herself that the only reason she cheated was because she and the affair partner were meant to be together. They were not. N was a fuckboy, and had made it very clear that he will never date her. She would insist to everyone that feelings were involved, and N was merely scared. She genuinely believed that it was only a matter of time until N would finally realize how much he cared for her. N was actively seeing multiple other women at the time, and bragging about them all, including Luna. I tried to make Luna cut contact, but her severe abandonment issues would not let her. I had to take matters in my own hand, and made N cut contact with her instead. Thank God I succeeded. 3. Luna was in an advanced accounting course to become a CPA. However, due to the myriads of boy troubles and family troubles, she never focused on her studies, and ultimately never got her certification. Despite this, her mom pushed her really hard, and she ended up getting a job at an excellent, reputed accounting firm. 4. While dating one of her colleagues at the firm, Luna proceeded to fall for her senior as well, who was engaged per usual. This senior Jay was as well. He financially manipulated his fiancée, while crying to Luna about how his emotional needs were never met by his fiancée. He insisted that he could not leave his fiancée, since she paid for all his expenses, but that he was in love with Luna and needed her in his life. At the very least, I was able to convince her to break up with the poor colleague that she was also simultaneously dating. Luna kept up the affair with Jay until he got married. Jay wanted to continue the affair, but I was finally able to convince her that this whole situation was really fucked up. 5. Luna consequently quit her job at the accounting firm because she couldn't bear to see Jay anymore. Luckily, her mother owns a small business and Luna was able to join her mom and help out with the operations. She received a formal salary and everything, but she still wasn't happy. She hated working for her mother, and did not like the course her life had taken. So, she decided to move abroad and get a master's degree. She started dating another Polish boy there. This one I'm referring to by his actual initials, because he is such a horrible human being. IDC if he finds this out. As one of the worst guys she's been with. Manipulative, emotionally abusive, and overall, a bad person. By this time I had a reputation of being critical of the men she dated, so being in a foreign country, she was quite cagey with details of their relationship. Until the fighting got out of hand. I knew there was little I could do with the distance, so I just listened and advised her to the best of my abilities whenever she would reach out. 6. Luna came back to our home country for a short vacation, and I was really excited because she and my fiancé had not yet hung out in person. I really wanted my two favorite people in the world to get along. My fiancé, now husband, got along really well with Luna and I was overjoyed. Luna seemed to get along with him as well, which is why it was supremely confusing that she decided to show my fiancé that she would always be more important to me. She chose to do this by kissing me in front of my fiancé. I am bi, and this is not the first time we've ever kissed. But she made it a point to kiss me when I could not say no, in front of fiancé, and smirked at him right after. Thankfully my fiancé wasn't all that bothered by it. We spoke about it later, and he understood that Luna was likely feeling insecure that she may be overshadowed in my life by him. 7. During this same vacation, Luna also came to me privately and shared her fears that she may be pregnant. I took time off work to take her to the hospital and get her checked out. She was pregnant but claimed she didn't understand how. This is when I had to come to terms with the levels of delusion she would have. Turns out, A didn't like using condoms, and she didn't want to pressure him into doing something he didn't like. He suggested the pull-out method and she agreed, but obviously it wasn't foolproof. Instead of going on the pill or using literally any other contraceptive measure, they decided they would have raw for a period of 72 hours, and she would then pop an emergency contraceptive pill. Since Ad lived in a different city than her, and would mostly visit her on weekends, it apparently seemed like the best option for them. She had taken the emergency contraceptive pill 4 or 5 times in the past 6 months. No other form of birth control. No wonder she got pregnant. She was unable to process that she got pregnant. As in, she was literally unable to understand how it was possible because she believed the emergency contraceptive pill was some kind of fix-all. She spent the next few days contemplating whether she should keep the baby or not. She seemed to believe that if she had the baby, Ad would somehow realize how much he loved her and their child, and would step up to take care of them both. I kept quiet through all this because her body, her choice. But I did not believe she was mentally ready to be a mother, and I also knew Ed wanted her to abort, because he had no intention of ever being a dad. Thankfully, the decision was taken out of her hands since she had an ectopic pregnancy, and actively miscarried within a week of the positive pregnancy report. I waited until things had settled down to have a serious chat with her. She said she can't be blamed for not knowing that the emergency contraceptive pill wouldn't work. I even spoke to Ad and he also claimed to have no idea how contraceptives worked. This is when I blew up at them both, and told them that if they weren't going to be responsibility for contraception, maybe they weren't ready to be having. That ignorance is not a excuse. 8. During this time Luna would come over to my place, no notice or warning. She would expect me to spend the whole day hanging out and drinking with her, because she was mind-fucked both the miscarriage and the constant fights between her and Ad. It took a serious toll on my mental health because she would often refuse to let me work. After I had to take many emergency leaves for her hospital visits, and she knew I needed the leaves for my upcoming wedding, one that she did not attend, by the way. Thank God my fiancé was supportive through all of this. There have been many more instances like this, including once when she decided to send money home illegally to avoid Forex rates, and when she got caught, claimed she had no idea it was illegal, and was just trying to save some money, and I made sure she had lawyers to get her out of this situation wherein she claims ignorance as her justification, and I have to clean up her mess. After completing her master's degree, she managed to get a graduate program role at a Big Four. This role was contingent on her passing a few levels of professional certifications. Due to her constant fights with Ad, Luna failed to study, and was thus unable to pass her exams. She was unable to even secure enough to allow her an additional attempt. Now, her employment has been terminated 1 month notice, and she has to come back to our home country in a maximum of 3 months, as her company will not continue to sponsor her visa for any longer. She now wants to find another job that will sponsor her visa in the 3 months she has left. Her mother is begging her to come home and take over the family business. Luna believes she has to prove herself and show that she can actually make it abroad. It took her months to find this job in the first place right after her graduation. The chances of finding another job where her visa will be sponsored is slim. Despite working for nearly a year with the Big Four, she still does not have any savings to sustain herself abroad. Her living situation is also quite tumultuous, and she cannot continue living at the same place for the next 3 months. She will have to move. She called me up crying because I have no idea how this happened to me. I told her that at some time, she had to take ownership of her choices and realistically look at her options. With her master's degree and the foreign experience, she can easily get a job back home. But if she comes back with job search fatigue, which she has got easily in the past, she will invariably agree to work at her mother's business, which will make her miserable. So read it, Wibta. If I drew boundaries with her upon her return, because her return is inevitable, just a matter of when, she has no other support system, and has always relied on me to help her navigate the tough spots of life. But I have been dealing with my own mental health problems, and am trying hard to get my life back on track. I don't know how to maintain distance from one of the people closest to my heart. I don't know if it's right to. Any advice would be appreciated. Thank you for reading. TLDR, my best friend is a mess, with a history of bad choices. She has no support system but for me. Unsure whether distancing myself from her would make me the a-hole.